You might have been thinking about starting your own business, but you're concerned about the difficulties of getting a company sorted, getting started, doing all the things you have to do to form it. But what if I told you that the big leap that you're thinking of making is actually more like a small step? A lot of people think that you have to go and cut your existing job, take a step away, then go and form a company, then get started. You can easily go and form a company as a side hustle, as a side thing that you do in your spare time. A lot of employment contracts will tell you that you're not allowed to go and work elsewhere, you're not allowed to go and do anything else outside your core work. In most cases, those rules are not enforceable under EU law because they're a restriction of trade. And actually, as long as you're not competing with what your core job does, as long as you're not doing it during your working hours, there's absolutely nothing wrong with starting a side hustle or earning some money in addition to what you're already doing. Surprisingly enough, you might have discovered that actually forming a business and doing everything you need to get started can take you under an hour. I say everything from forming the company to everything you need to actually operate it, and in this video I'll take you through exactly step by step everything you need to do to get you to the end. Let's get into it. Next, you have to decide on the company structure, and here there are many different options, but largely speaking, you're probably going to choose one of the following three. Number one, you're going to choose a limited company. Number two, you're going to form a partnership. And number three, you're going to operate as a sole trader. Now, I'd go limited company for vast majority of cases in almost every time, but let's go through them one at a time. A limited company has several benefits that are unique to being a limited company, and the number one benefit is in its name. It's limited. And what that means is you don't have personal liability for company issues unless you provide separate personal guarantees for borrowing or whatever. But that means if the company falls into legal trouble, if the company falls into financial trouble, you personally are not liable unless you've broken the law or grossly mismanaged the company, which in most cases won't be true. Other benefits include full separation of your personal finances and your company finances. So what this means is your company money will operate in separate bank accounts. It will operate under a separate legal entity. Your personal finances are completely separate to that in a different bank account. You can choose to pay yourself flexibly, so money comes into the bank account. You don't have to go and pay all that to yourself immediately and incur all the taxes associated. You can keep it in a limited company. If at the end of the year you haven't repaid everything, you might have to pay corporation tax, but net, once you've paid your dividends after the corporation tax is applied, that's still going to be cheaper. In fact, most people optimize the way that they earn money from their limited company through a mix of dividends and salary, which can sometimes be slightly tax advantageous depending on how much you earn. The downsides of limited companies are they're probably the most complicated to operate. There's a lot more things you have to report and do compared to some of the other types of forming a business, and it's harder to draw money down. You kind of have to pay quite a significant amount of tax whichever way around you do it, so that's something for you to consider. I actually think that net it turns out better. Many people choose to form partnerships. These are particularly common in industries like consulting or law firms or other types of service companies like that. But there are some significant cons to forming a partnership as well as pros. One of the big benefits and the reason why lots of these companies are traditionally set up this way is you don't have some ultimate owner or some ultimate parent of this business. You generally have people who are at the top of the company collectively owning the business and making decisions on behalf of that business, and that can be massively advantageous because you don't have the problem of shareholders and the management having completely different needs and prioritization. It also means that as people grow through the company and rise to that partner status, you essentially have people promoting themselves into part ownership of the company, and that can be a really powerful motivator for work as well as a really great reward for people who eventually get there. Partnerships are structured in a way which makes it considerably easier to distribute the profits that the company makes into the partners. That's why they exist in the first place. However, there's a few more difficulties in that partnerships don't have the benefits of having no liability, so all the partners are jointly liable as part of the company in cases where there are legal claims, in cases where there are professional issues. And that's something you should definitely consider, especially in high-risk industries if you're touching on anything to do with finance, health, anything else. that's definitely something I would think about. The option lots and lots of people go down if they're starting a business for the first time is to go down the sole trader route, and the reason people do it is by far the quickest and easiest. A sole partnership doesn't require you to set up separate bank accounts, doesn't require you to do complicated accounting on an ongoing basis. You just submit accounts at the end of the year and figure it all out by yourself. You don't have to pay for expensive software continuously, and you don't have to do a lot of other things that limited companies partnerships do, but everything is mixed. Your own bank account will have your business money, will have your personal money. You'll have to account for transactions that you spend on for personal needs and for business needs. At the end of the year, you have to troll through months and months of your statements to try to figure out what was a business expense, what wasn't a business expense. It is incredibly complicated, and if your business takes off and begins being a bit more difficult to manage, that can become a real nightmare. You're also liable for everything, and any business debt is 100% your personal debt because it comes out of your personal account and you are dealt with it as an individual rather than a company. If you want to take your business seriously and you want to grow it, I definitely wouldn't go down the sole trader route. It is so easy to set up a limited company. I would go straight for that option. First things first, and this is probably the step that might take you the longest and actually is at most risk of taking you over the 1 hour. Hopefully before you got to this video and before you actually form your company, you already have done some thinking on it, and that is picking your company name. Now ultimately a lot of the steps you're going to be taking will mean that you have to have a company name in mind, and you have to then go proceed once you have it. But the one thing I'll tell you that from experience is not to overthink the choosing the company name bit, because actually in most cases the name itself is not that important. It is what you do with it, how you market it, how you position it. So do not overthink it. Once you have some ideas in mind, here is the 3 things you need to check before you are settled on it. 1, check with Companies House just to make sure that a similar company or a company with the same name is not already registered there. Make sure you go and type in the name of the company you're trying to register. Check if the same name already exists. Check if similar names already exist. If you're trying to write a word for a number but somebody's registered one with a number instead, make sure you just check the obvious variations. Make sure you don't name something that is too close to somebody else's name, especially if you're in the same industry. Make sure your name is not just a small variation on somebody else's business name in a similar niche. Secondly, go and check for trademarks. Make sure you check at least the EU register, and this is very easy to do. You go on the government website, you go and type in the trademark name that you want to use. Make sure you check for images as well, just in case somebody's registered one but not the other. In most cases, if your company name is unique enough, it will be incredibly unlikely that you'll hit an existing trademark, but it's worth checking, because if you register a company name that is a trademark of somebody else, you may run into difficulties and lots of expense and lots of hassle in the future having to change it. Make sure you check and don't skip the step. Number 3, go and check the domain register. Make sure that there is a domain available that you're happy with, that is the name of your company. A .com is ideal, and if you're serious about running your business, make sure you try to get at least that. If you're a UK oriented business and your whole business will always be focused on UK and UK only, it's okay to register .co.uk. In other cases, if you're potentially running something that might be applicable in the US, applicable in Australia, applicable in Canada, elsewhere, try to get a .com. If you can't get a .com, try to alter the name slightly, add another word, change one of the words, just so that you can get it. It might help you grow and establish in more locations in the future. Once you have the company name sorted, all you've got to do to start with is to register at the Companies House, and you might be surprised by how easy and quick it is. The entire process of registering your company can easily take you under 10 minutes. That's all. It'll ask you for a few personal details, address, the initial shares you're planning to offer. In many cases, people choose to do 1 share for £1. If you're looking to add more shares to the business in the future, issue more to new employees, whatever it is, a lot of people go down the route of doing 100 shares at £1 each for £100 total. A much better idea, in case you ever need it, in case you need to split, in case you need to give any shares to anybody else, is to go down the 10,001 penny shares for £100. That gives you incredible flexibility if you ever want to sell part of the business or get investment. In any case, it's up to you. It doesn't really matter at this stage, because whatever decision you take, it is very, very easy to change that in the future with a few forms. So go and register your business. After you've gone and done the registration, that's all you have to do. You will see some of the questions in there that your company will automatically be registered on the relevant registers that link to HMRC, so you don't have to go and do a separate registration over there until you have to go and file for taxes and do all those things. But at the beginning, you have to do nothing. What will then happen is in the course of the next 2 weeks, some letters will arrive. They'll give you your unique reference numbers and codes so you can go and log in to your company profile, and so you can go and submit regular paperwork that you have to do. So that 10 minutes is it. Your company is now live. You're a director. Congratulations. Next, go and get yourself a website. Now, this again sounds incredibly difficult for lots of people. In reality, this is something that can easily take you as little as 5 to 10 minutes just to get you started. If you're not very confident with websites, with hosting, with buying a domain name in one place and hosting it somewhere else, just go and find a service that will get you up and running. This doesn't have to cost a lot. If you go through somewhere like Bluehost, which is a very popular platform, which is incredibly cheap, you can go and register a domain and hosting and everything in one go. If you're in the UK and you're interested in something that has much better customer service, maybe for a little bit more money, that is UK based, I would personally recommend VariHost. It is VARI.host. I first started many of my websites on there before I had to upgrade and do other things with them. I still have some of my websites on there. What you want to do with any of these hosting packages initially, if you're not tech minded or savvy, is go and get a WordPress package. WordPress is the underpinnings for more than 50% of all the websites worldwide. It is incredibly easy to use, even if you're not that technical. Go and get it set up. It will tell you what to do next. You go and log in to your website once everything's installed automatically, and you can set all your parameters from inside. Make sure you just do some really basic things. You don't have to do them right now. It doesn't have to be within that hour. It can be if you're really quick with it, but set up a basic contact page, set up a basic about us page, put something on the front page that tells people what you do. You're done. If you're looking for a pretty theme for your website, I'd recommend something like GeneratePress. It is a really flexible, very fast theme that generally will work really well for lots of people. It has lots of child themes, so you can style it however you like with just a few clicks of a button. And if you need more features in the future so that you can do more with your website, you can add quite complex functionality, emailing out, other stuff. GeneratePress has a premium version which you can buy for a one-off fee, and that premium version is incredibly great. I use it on some of the websites that I run. I would highly recommend it. Now you're all set up, you have a company, you have a website, but what are you missing? The money. So next step is to get yourself a bank account. Now, in the past, this was quite a scary step. You had to go and try to call several different branches, get an appointment, go in person, bring lots of paperwork, probably then have to come back a couple of weeks later with more paperwork. The approval will take forever. Today, the game has changed. You can get a business account in minutes. I've personally got a Starling business account, and I'm migrating all of my businesses to use Starling in the future. It is incredible what you can do. You can get an account in 5 to 10 minutes. I timed my application some time ago myself, and it took me, I think it was 7 minutes to get the account set up from nothing to having it. They'll take you through the steps one at a time, but it is incredibly easy, and you will have a business account in no time if you have things to hand, if you know what you're doing. The card will take a few days to arrive, but you don't need the card to get started. The account number is there. You can begin setting up direct debits if you want to buy stuff, all within a few minutes. Last, as a business owner, you need something to do your accounting, and before you go into the depths of hiring accountants and making it complicated, I would highly recommend, just to get started, signing up for Xero. I still use Xero on all my business needs. It is an incredible online platform. It is really easy to use, even if you haven't used accounting software before, and once you get into it, you'll really pick it up. It gives you all the tools you need to run a small business. There are different packages available. Make sure you pick the right one that suits your needs. Some people need some of the more advanced packages that cost a lot of money, some people do not, so go and have a look. Once you've set up Xero, you can quite easily go and link your Starling account to it, and what that will do is you'll be able to see all your transactions from the Starling account within Xero. So when you're accounting and reconciling, they're all there automatically. They actually come through very quickly, not in batch overnight like most other accounts, and the service is free. And given that, you probably will never really need to log into your Starling account unless you're making a payment from it, because all the information will be there in Xero. Xero will also allow you to invoice people. If you're doing consulting, if you're earning money from people and you need to send them an invoice, you can do those in Xero very easily. You set up a quick template. You can use one of the default ones if you wish. The entire process of setting up Xero probably will take you about 5 minutes at most. It is incredibly straightforward. Initially you can do a trial, but if you want to use any of the advanced features, you'll then have to switch to a paid version. Compared to accountants and various other costs that you may incur, is actually incredibly low. So I would highly recommend it. So now we've got a company name, we have a website, we have a bank account that we can pay money from and pay money into, and we have accounting. We are done. If you're fast after doing this video and you know what you're doing and you have your documents ready, you can easily do this in under an hour. I hope you guys found this information useful. If you like this video, please make sure you smash that like button down below so that your YouTube algorithm can show our video to more people more quickly. If you're interested in videos that tell you about managing your money, making use of financial products, and making more of it, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications every time one of my videos comes out. And my videos come out on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday every single week without fail. I'll see you guys later.